in collaboration with all of them for over a year now, and it's nice to like, for me at least, because this will be my last engagement with Pochas, to like end it here at S1 because we had a really special event with them last year around this time also. It's really sweet. So yeah, today's workshop is establishing and sustaining healthy boundaries as artists. And that can mean a lot of things. I usually, with my job, I teach healthy relationship classes, like an anti-oppression curriculum to Latinx youth. So we talk about this constantly in the class. Like we talk about relationships, what does consent mean? We talk about how to advocate for yourself and like having like bodily autonomy. And with that, like with that journey and with like my journey with Pochas and just like in general as an artist, I've like a lot of the things that I teach in my class are intersect with my life as an artist and the ways that I have relationships with the people that I work with as like a collaborator, as a curator, as like a visiting artist at an institution, or just like co-curating a show. I think a lot of like parallels to that. And so before we start this whole conversation, I just wanted to do intro. So I'm gonna turn off the music right now. So if everyone, and I can start first, we can do name, your pronoun, those that you use, and then like to open up the space to get a little, like so I can get like to know you a little bit more. What is one thing or many things that inspires your work, whatever your creative work looks like, however it manifests. Like what are some things, one thing or many things that inspires you to do that work? So I can start. We can do popcorn style, or we can just go around in a circle. So my name is Blanca, or some folks know me by Stacy also. I use she, her, hers pronouns. And one thing that inspires my creative practice are the young people in my life. That being like my nieces and my nephews and all the students that I have. They inspire me, and also the dreams that I have too are what kind of like drive my creativity. Yeah.
Hi everybody. My name's Angela. I'm she, her, they pronouns. Really cool. As an artist, the thing that inspires my work is muddness, I guess. Like liminal spaces. Bilingual English, Spanish, English. Forms of communication.
Name's Michael. I guess creatively, just living. I guess just interactions that I have with people. It's really it. And the relationships that I have with people. The things that inspire me.
Thank you.
Desiree, she, her pronouns. Something that inspires me is the subconscious and what people subconsciously think when they see an object. So draw those things out and things.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi. I'm Victoria. I use she, her, it's funny because I was thinking about what inspires me, and I was like, what's weird in my dreams? Which says what inspires you. And I think that really what inspires me about both of them and everything else is like almost like miscommunication. Like when you think the one thing they heard, but there's so many things that I feel like that's my dreams.
Thank you.
Hi, Manny. I use they them pronouns. I'm inspired by money, dreams of non-violent luxury, and trash.
Thank you.
I'm Lauren with pronouns. I really am inspired by collaborating with people people and like making just like human connections, and then also by like finding ways to support other artists and like just work really appreciate it.
I'm Daniela. I use she, her, they. And in my creative practice, what inspires me is holding space and creating community and like facilitating the dreams of the people around me. So yeah, I guess like the other people are what inspires me.
My name is Cliff. He, him, his pronouns. What inspires me is probably stories about family, especially family members that I never, because they pass on before.
Yeah, thank you. This is something I can
I'm Soleil. I use pronouns are his, and what inspires me is probably knowing that I can make Chicanx community more known and other urban communities and probably my mentors.
Thank you.
To know me.
My name is Luis. The things who inspire me and the arts is the different cultures in the world and the bad things, sad things to happen in the world.
And the pronouns, it's pronominous?
Sorry?
Pronominous? Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alexa. I use she, her pronouns. I'm really inspired by self-talk and the way that we talk to ourselves and confidence.
Big.
Yeah, but
Yeah. No,
I
I like
just
that.
have myself to go off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Hi, my name is Gemma. She, they pronouns. I guess I'm inspired by my experience in relation to others, and I guess communication and how that's like how communication can be intentional or unintentional, and if that makes a difference.
Thank you.
Annie. She, they, I think I'm mostly just inspired by this community, like anything creative that I do revolves around like other people, like digesting or interacting with like my work. So I'm just inspired by people that I like and get very into.
Thank you.
I'm Gary, they, them pronouns. And I'm really inspired by healing, as well as like the way that we ourselves heal through trauma, as well as like healing with other people. I read a lot of horror, so kind of finding a way to like write optimistic horror and show how healing takes us through some like the journeys of healing. Really inspiring.
Thank you.
Danielle. My name is Andrea. All pronouns for me. And I'm a very emotional person. I'm Cancer, so it's like everything is informed by my emotions, but also water. And so my inspiration takes the shape usually of what my community, the Alberta, is in need of or desires to see or wants to engage with. I really enjoy creating spaces and creating ways for my community to express themselves, but also to keep their space.
Yeah, and if you were just doing names, pronouns, and what inspires your work or creative work? No.
My name is Demadria. My pronouns are they, them, and being a for she, her. Inspires me is basically taking space as who I am, and then finding other fellow travelers, understanding how to connect in making but not lose what makes me. It's the most important thing for me right now. And the basics move.
Also really good with Pisces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for coming. Yeah. So thanks everyone for sharing and being part of that with me. It like informs you like where y'all are coming from and what what kind of gifts you may have in your creative practice. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to talk about self-care throughout the workshop. So whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, whether that's walking around, getting water or food, stretching, or if you want to check in with someone because someone said something and it like triggered you or it was like not cool and you want to talk about it first with someone else, like maybe Victoria or Manuel or Andrea can be that person for you. And also just just feel free to like take a walk or something or go outside if you need to or take a phone call, like really just be you. And then if you want to help me put up a sheet of paper here, we can do like community agreements like for the space, right? Because we don't want to assume like what we can do and we can't do in this space together. Let's see. Yeah, put it on that one. Yeah, right there. Okay, well, just put it so that they can see it while you're writing it down. And like, yeah, all my art stuff is from my job, so they're all really fun. This is like licorice. Yeah. I know. It happens all the time. Yeah. So yeah, while Andrea's doing that, I'm getting this off my nose. What are some community agreements that you all want to have in the space for today? Don't let this distract you.
Respect when others are talking.
Hey.
Respect when others are talking. So what does that look like though? What is respect? Like what is that?
When one person's talking, don't talk. Don't talk over a person.
And I would add listen.
Listen.
So no, that's good. Others are talking. Okay. What else? Come on. Has everyone heard of like step up, step back? No?
No, what's up?
Can someone that has heard of it explain it to the group, please? Andrea, maybe?
Yes. You find yourself talking a lot. Maybe honor the fact that not everyone has the same ability to just off the cuff speak their mind right away. Allow for the silence so other people can step forward. And also, if you find yourself not talking very much, then also allow yourself the space to take that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and all of us process very differently, right? Sometimes it takes me a while to say what I want to say because I'll do a circle first. But I also know, considering who I am, I tend to talk a lot, so I don't want to do that in this workshop. This is a very much collective conversation and knowledge sharing that we're going to do today. So I really want us to embrace this. Okay, is there another one that you'll have?
Respect the fact that other people have different experiences than you.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be approaching the same subject from different places.
Yeah. Cool. So respect y'all's experiences, even though some of us may have similar identities, that doesn't mean we have the same lived experiences. Yeah. Others?
This can be a bilingual workshop, Spanish and English. This can be a bilingual workshop, Spanish and English.
It could. Yeah. Oh no, I tend to speak Spanglish sometimes, so it's a cause of my brain.
Because there's people with different language.
Yeah. Obviously, if I'll say something in Spanish, I'll translate it in English. Yeah. So that's just me because that's how I navigate the world. Yeah. Any other ones?
Yeah. I mean, safety is a very
Mm-hmm. Safety in which way? In what way?
No attacking anyone for their opinions or just respecting people's opinions and their space and their comfort levels. Not everybody's gonna be on the same level coming in. You're all coming in from like a lot of different places right now. We need to honor that. And I mean, it goes under respect as well. But
Yeah, thank you. Any other ones?
be comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, this is I'm a very casual person, so like I feel like it's easier to have conversations when things are not like sort of formal feeling or like uptight, you know, we can all just be chill.
Have fun. Please. Like you can all get loud and get silly,
can
like
breathe.
move
You're allowed to
around, like
breathe.
breathe. Yeah, this is like this workshop title might sound serious, but like is really really casual. I'm not I'm not a professional like relationship or healthy boundaries person. I'm also learning. I'm 30 and I'm still learning how to have like positive, healthy relationships. My students teach me this every day. Like my friend does, my family does. So like please feel free to like just be yourselves, like wiggle to get any jitters out and just have fun. Like I want to have fun in this workshop. We're gonna do a little art in the second hour of it, so just have that in mind too. Let's see. Are there any other ones you can think of?
Maybe we can mention them if they like come up here.
Yeah. If you have other ones, feel free to even come up here and write it down. We can grab markers over there. There are different flavors, smells. I also too want to like use I statements, right? Like speak your own truth and your own experiences. So I statements. And another one too, if you want to reference like a story or an example that is about someone else, leave their name out because we can't ask them for their consent to bring in their story to this space. So if you want to share a story that you have as like an example of like a relationship or a boundary, like feel free to please like don't use their names, just out of like respect for them and that we don't have their consent in the space. And also at the same time, whatever we share, I know it's a live stream for that. So that didn't
I like to say don't share other people's stories.
Yeah, don't share other people's stories. So share your own. And that actually I want to bring up because this is being live streamed. So if you don't want to share anything while it's live streaming, don't do it. And we can talk about it afterwards when it's not being live streamed. Does that sound okay, folks? And let us know if that makes you uncomfortable at all. Yeah. Okay. So I statements. Cool. Yeah, and if y'all think of anything else, you can come up here and add them. I'll leave these ones here. So you can do that. Cool. So I'm going to start checking in on this to make sure I have everything. Okay. So, hi. Do you want to join us? Yeah.
I was just gonna snap a quick.
What's that?
I said I was gonna snap a quick thing, but I also.
Yeah. So we started with your, if you want to join real quick, your name, your pronoun, and what inspires your creativity.
My name's Alyssa. I use she and her pronouns, and it's usually, it could be sometimes my anger, but maybe sometimes my hopefulness. I'm kind of vacillating between the two.
Oh, thank you. And so we just did community agreements, so I'll just read it for you. So respect while others are talking, step up, step back. So if you find yourself taking up a lot of space with your voice or your presence, then you tone it down a little bit, or take a step back. But if you're someone that usually is that person that takes is a little more quiet or takes a lot longer to respond to something, please take up the space. Yeah, that's pretty much a summary of this one. Respect everyone's experiences here. Have safety in the space. Be comfortable. Have fun. And then just use I statements for your own lived experiences, and then to honor everyone else that couldn't make it here today, or if you want to share an example throughout the workshop, don't use other people's names, don't tell other people's stories if you don't have their consent. Yeah, so those are the agreements that we have for now. Cool. So the reason why I wanted to do this workshop, and also like why I wanted to kind of like why I wanted to do this one as my last one, before I move on from Pochas, is because like being in a collective, being in community, being in relationship to others is like a constant reminder of like how to like honor myself, right? How, you know, if I can show people how I honor myself and respect myself, then they therefore will be able to do that as well. But that being said, we also have to be really communicative about what our needs are and what our limits, our boundaries are, and that can be, you know, difficult sometimes depending on our lived experiences, our identity sometimes, and also because we, you know, from my experience, I was never taught how to have a healthy relationship. I was never taught like what boundaries were. I grew up in a household of like 11 people, so like I had no privacy if anything. So I just had to like learn how, as like I went, and how to navigate 10 other relationships in my home. So that was a lot to take on. But I think it's really important as like artists like that are doing work in like in Portland, especially like one that doesn't, you know, create space, has not created space, has not respected, you know, the Black, Indigenous, and like people of color. You know, I think it's really important that we learn like what tools that we can make for ourselves in order to feel, not only to feel valued, but to be validated, to be respected, to be honored, right, through our work, whether that's like emotional labor, whether that's curating an event, whether it's doing volunteer. I think it's really important that we have these tools. And it's also like a good practice, like you'll see it like kind of like drop down to all your other relationships as well. Now, if you want to add this to that, like why it's important that we have this kind of workshop in this time.
Yeah, I think, well, I can only speak for like my experience, specifically with Pochas in my personal life, but I'm a giver. Like I want to like do everything for everybody as much as I can, and I within the last year have realized how like I've had a greater perspective on how draining that can actually be and how harmful that can be for your relationships and also other elements of your life. And so, especially as creatives, like when I'm making work, it's very rarely like just because I want to make something. It's usually like something that I'm feeling very deeply and that I'm feeling passionate about. And if you do that consistently and don't take care of yourself in the process or offer yourself that same amount of like space and energy to heal, then it can be really harmful. And I've experienced that within the last year, like I said. And so this is really important for me to be able to explore because I also didn't have that sort of language growing up. There was no such thing as self-care. It was like mom holds it down and she does everything for everybody, you know what I mean? And that was my example. And so that's something that I honor, but I'm also trying to like move away from because it's definitely important to put your own mask on first. Is what I'm learning. Yeah, this is a great way to start practicing.
Yeah, and I mean, and having healthy boundaries too, like and learning how to have healthy boundaries is not just gonna affect like your emotional well-being, but your physical well-being, your mental well-being. I know for me, like I try to talk about my depression as an artist too in the city, like that also affects that state of my life, and just spiritually too. If that's like part of your life, so like it'll affect all those areas of your life. So, and also just like if we can learn how to have these kind of like boundaries with the people that we are in a relationship with as artists, like we can be stewardships of our creativity, right? And it can be sustainable. Like we can make work, like and then we can do things as Pochas if we take care of our relationship as like we're collaborators. We're also roommates. At the end of the day, like we're always like we're friends. So if like we constantly check in and make sure that like all those relationships, like we know where they're at, right? And that they're not like scattered all over the place, like it's gonna have a much better impact on our creativity and our artwork because it's gonna affect the community. If we're not holding it down together as friends, like it's not gonna work for what we're gonna do in the community. like at all.
We've tried, it doesn't work.
Yeah, like we've had to like be like, yo, like we can't talk about Pochas right now. We can't do this right now. Like we have to like check in, and it's been really useful. I mean, it's been hard and challenging to like feel like tensions or to feel like I'm exhausted or burnt out. But at the end of the day, like we want to have a great friendship, and we have a common like goal of intention of what we want to do for the community. And so like this is like primary for us. It's like really important for us. Yeah. Huh? What? Because I love you. Cool. Do you want to help me put up one of these here, and then you can help me write stuff down? So, this is where y'all come in and help out. So, Andrea's gonna write down all the relationships that you all have as artists. Like, what kind of relationships do you have with, as artists with other like entities or beings? And she's gonna write it down for us, the types of relationships that we navigate. Yeah. So, like for example, like, and there's my collaborator. That's a relationship. So we can put that on there. So what other relationships do we have as artists in the arts community? Institutions, yeah.
Get my writing out.
What else?
Students?
Students, yeah. Like mentors, like mentees, right? Mentees? Yeah. Yeah, students. Yeah.
Clubs. Clubs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what else? Volunteers, yeah. Community? Mm-hmm. What other ones?
Sponsors or benefactors.
Sponsors and benefactors. Viewers, yeah. Like the audience, yeah. Any other ones? Critics, yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other ones?
Artists.
Mm-hmm. Artists. Any other ones? So yeah, collaborators, institutions. When you mention institutions, Anina, like, can you be more specific?
I guess like as artists, like established arts institutions, like in your city and in your state.
Would you include like galleries too, or is the galleries like separate? In your opinion?
I would say maybe gallery could be its own. Something about larger like funding organizations, etc.
So let's put like maybe galleries and DIY spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Friends. Mm-hmm. Any other ones? Cool. Okay, so we got a good chunk already. So so I want to ask you, and you can, just shout it out or whatever. Do any of these intersect with one another? Yeah. Okay. So they intersect, and how do they intersect? If anyone wants to give an example of how they intersect. Like I knew one early, like Andrea's like my friend, and she's also my collaborator, right? So there's that intersection. How do some of the other ones intersect?
Friends, other artists, and critics all are part of your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the community is like a huge one too. Yeah.
Institutions are sometimes sponsors.
Yeah.
Some of the artists that like I help my friends facilitate are actual like friends and family that I see on the regular as well. So kind of y'all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know some people that are like they're both artists, or one's an artist and one like works for like a place that gives out grants, and they're like partners, they're lovers, right? So it's just like, like how do you, can I apply for the grant that your institution is giving, you know, since we're connected, you know, like there's
Just don't tell anyone.
Huh?
Just don't tell me.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, okay, so now that we know that they've intersected in other ways that they've intersected, like how has that been for you all? Like have you been like in terms of like boundaries between each of them? In terms of like, so I guess you can let me know like from a scale of like easy to challenging, like where does it fall in terms of like navigating those intersections of relationships?
It's difficult.
It's difficult? Uh-huh.
Why is it difficult?
Because depending on who your friends are and if they support you or not.
Mm.
So that's a big thing, and especially with if your friends are artists, it's like they want kind of like, it's either you gotta work together or you guys are against each other.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah. So maybe if they're friends, there's like that trust already,
Mm-hmm.
right? So maybe that collaboration is a little bit more smoother, right? You can be more I guess like intuitive too. Yeah. What else? So difficult, unless it's like friends. Other examples?
I think that sometimes for me, like the boundaries with like I don't know, like institutions or like school and like professors and stuff is like the assumption of what like art is in my life, and like how art doesn't have to be like my entire life all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really important, I think. Yeah. Yeah. Like we, you know, identify as artists or creative people, but at the end of the day, like you're yourself.
Yeah.
Still
You
at the
have to
end of
go
the day.
home.
You need to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know, put on a face mask that night or something, or like take a bath, or like pay your rent, you know, those
Yeah.
things too. Yeah.
Wash paint out of your hair. Like,
Yeah.
You don't have paint in your hair all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then we get a good sense of like how these can range in terms of like, you know, like maybe some are more challenging, some are a little bit easier. See? Okay. So can we put one so the next thing I want to do is I want y'all to collectively think about like when you've seen or experienced like positive healthy boundaries, and we'll make a list of those. And then we'll make a list of like when either there's been a lack of boundaries or they've just been like, you know, they didn't work out, and maybe give like an explanation of why they didn't work out. So we'll do like a positive one here, and then I'll write the positive. Jeez. Or you want to do the positive one? You want the positive vibe? Huh? You want to do the positive vibe?
No.
No? Okay.
Stick on the darkness.
Okay. The black character.
Maybe my darkness is blue.
So when y'all's relationships don't have good boundaries, like in any of these or all of these, whatever like mixture combination they were, how like can you like describe what that like felt like and maybe an example of what it was?
Say that again.
Yeah, so when you've experienced or seen positive or healthy boundaries, right, with any other relationships, can you let us know like how that's like made you feel, and also like give an example of what that was like?
Getting feedback from, I guess, all of them, like just someone just acknowledging.
Mm-hmm. Being acknowledged.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
When you're working with a collaborator and it's like it goes just like really into it, like everything's working out really well and your ideas keep expanding together. It's good. Vibing.
I can give an example of a really nice, since we live together, like and I know we have like a Pochas thing coming up, like before I even like, I'll text her or I'll, as I'm walking through the door, and this is constant practice, like, hey, do you have time to talk about Pochas right now? Just checking in. And she's like, hell no, and I'm like, okay, and then I gotta respect that. Because she might not be in that place, but like I am, but she's not, and I can't force her to be there. So just, for me, at least like checking in with my collaborator, like, hey, can we do this work now? Because I also have to respect that for like roommates and friends at the same time. So checking in. Any other ones?
I like to make a lot of emotional space for the fellow artists in my life. I ask for a lot of emotional space and making sure that I'm getting that in return. I have a lot of relationships right now that are working like really fantastic, being there for each other. I'm not collaborating artistically.
Can I ask if you were comfortable, like how you make that emotional space happen?
Lately, it's been a lot of listening, kind of like the checking in. Right now, just like I do like the circle of text to everyone. Someone's like, hey, how are you? What do you need right now? Then do I go, do you need water? Do you need ear? Do you need a tea?
You're like, yeah, like what are your needs? Yeah.
And making sure that like those people feel comfortable with me airing those things, or that I'm giving them the space to not air those things and continue to process that themselves, but knowing that I'm available in whatever way that I can be.
Yeah. So letting them know that you're available for them. Thanks, Dave. Any other ones?
Yeah, for me, there's something about having that emotional and like mental space, like you're like holding that space that makes me feel safe and like comfortable enough to even have the capacity to want to create or to want to like open my heart up and like do this work. Because we've definitely had moments where it's just like work, like nonstop, like Pochas stuff. And there were times where I'm like, I don't want to do this, like this is something I'm really passionate about, and I can't, like I just don't have it because there's like so many, there's like we overcommitted or like we don't give ourselves that space to be like, hey, let's just chill for a second and then we'll go into work. We just automatically like first time we see each other, like, hey, hey this, hey that, like that can be cause like an imbalance.
Maybe like can I write like acknowledge like exhaustion or like an imbalance? Yeah.
That was a lot of words.
Any other ones?
I feel like it's related. It's like knowing when to like stop at the end of the day. It's like something where it's like, not work anymore.
Yeah.
That feels good.
Yeah. Would it be like somewhat like listening to your body and like then like I think my body needs like to just chill. So like listening to what your needs are, listen to yourself. I like that though. Yeah.
It's like hard. I feel like there's no like time. You can work on things forever. Like as an artist, there's not things hours, so it's hard to like. Those boundaries.
Yeah. So check in with self. Yeah. Check in with self. Any other ones?
It's like mutual support when with collaborators or other artists or friends like that, when you're able to like see each other and what you're both doing, and like let you know that you're here for it.
Yeah, thank you. I want to add, this is also like what we were trying to practice more, celebrating like our work, like celebrating what we've done, like, oh, you did it, like that took so much work, but it was fun, and like, Even if it looks like going out for a drink or like sharing pie or something, or just yeah, just hanging out at first, like hanging out on our porch and just talking about it, like celebrating like the work that we're doing, celebrating our relationship. Any other ones?
I think it's honesty. Like everyone to be honest about this.
So having honesty in your relationships, like open communication.
Yeah, I like the communication.
Okay, cool. So now you want to help me write down the other ones? The messy ones? Okay.
Hold on, y'all, I got a few.
Yeah, so tell us all of the messy ones. Like what does it feel like? What does it look like when there's a lack of boundaries, or when they're like really unclear and it's like just not helping you out?
Assumptions of friendship.
Assumptions of friendship?
Yeah. Especially with like smaller spaces. Like, a lot of that work is unpaid and heavily collaborative. And there's kind of like an over-familiarity, or like your collaborators will feel like they're entitled to your friendship or your time in some other ways after the project or during the project.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that. That's really important. Yeah.
When ownership isn't clear, especially with collaborations, like whose idea is whose.
Yeah.
Authorship, I guess.
Yeah, authorship, yeah.
Can you all read my writing? Should I try harder? I'll try a little harder.
What else?
Ownership of responsibilities too, like especially in collaboration and like partnerships. Like if it's like a shared idea that like the work that you're doing is important and the work that I'm doing is important, and this is how they intersect, and this is what it is, and this is like what needs to happen for it to like come together so that like it's not imbalanced or like leading to like one person.
Yeah.
One thing that I've experienced to be very important is the like healthy relationship between an institution and like the smaller gallery or DIY space, like who's benefiting from these relationships, and like you know who there's obviously like a power imbalance, and kind of being able to make sure that basically an institution isn't benefiting from the work of like a volunteer or DIY or smaller in whatever way space.
Yeah, that's really important. What are the other ones?
The imbalance of like support between mutual artists and spaces, like the feeling of like showing up and giving a lot of like emotional, physical support to like another artist or space, and then like not receiving that back, because it just like creates resentment, and then it'll like affect the community work that is going to be done between collaborators.
So like reciprocity. Yeah, and then I feel like that also goes into different like expectations and assumptions too. Yeah. Any other ones?
At times I felt most uncomfortable as I looked in like objectified or sexualized.
Yeah. It's gonna put microaggressions on there too. I know, like, you know, as Pochas, like, often I feel like we've been in moments where like our work has been like tokenized, and there's been like microaggressions like in our spaces too. It even said so by people that are like supporting us, kind of invited us to do the work there. And it's just like so triggering, and like, how do I have that conversation with that person who just invited us to be in this gallery or just gave us this money? Like, how do we like advocate for ourselves? Yeah. So I would put like feeling disempowered too. Any other ones? That look good to you? Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Okay, and now we're gonna do another sheet. I'm gonna take off this one. And we're just gonna brainstorm about like considering like these really lovely ones and these really like gross ones. Like how can we, like, all of us here walked in with like a lot of knowledge, right? So we all have lived experiences, right, as artists and creative people. So I know you all have some tools and some knowledge about how to do these things, more lists, right? And so we'll make a list collectively about like how can we advocate for ourselves and for our work, considering these relationships. So we'll make that over here. Another sheet. So you can start thinking about it right now. If you haven't, you can shout it out now if you want, and then I can catch it. So how are some ways you can advocate for yourself, or that you've already advocated for yourself? And like, oh yeah, like I did it. Like, spoke my truth, and I told them what I needed, and they honored that. Like, how do you, like, what have you done that's worked?
Said no.
Yeah.
Say that.
Yeah, say no. Say no, I don't want to do that, or no, that's like not within my timeline, or you know, or to know that's like what you're giving me, like, you know, for compensation isn't enough. You know, saying no. What other things have you all done that have worked? Ask for help. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ask for help.
Ask for space.
Go for I heard first base.
Ask for space. Cool. What other things?
Delegating tasks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know what the best way to say this, but like with that, like letting go of like, I don't need to be like on top of each one of these like tasks. Like I need to have trust in other people to do these, and then we'll be fine. Yeah. Letting go and trusting. Yeah.
Delegation, I sometimes bring it away. Depending on context. Like,
Yeah.
Some institutions are just not going to hear you.
Yeah.
You're like,
call, it's like a
Yeah. Now you hear my homies.
So much in terms of like emotional retribution or whatever, but in terms of logistics, it helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And be as real as you want to be. Like this over here, like I could have had a lot more like racism, you know, sexism, all these other things too.
Or if you have thoughts on if just any of these make you feel uncomfortable, if you have words, please share.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of like structural confusion maybe about like how this is working, but then always I do in spaces like this when this is going on usually. And it's just me, and I own that. Yeah. Me. This is I didn't like because I don't necessarily know how to interface with this. Like I'm processing, and I'm like, this is not how I do any of these at all.
Okay.
So I don't know how to like, I feel weird like talking about that and saying that like the ways in which we construct connections and emotions and the ways in which institutionality informs how we construct our emotions and relationships to each other and like power and how that infiltrates to all of this is like for me like these are the valences that I am tracking when I think about establishing and sustaining healthy boundaries and thinking about like power flows.
Yeah, that's real.
And so because a lot of the things like that are positive are only possible within certain power balances and power balances, and then like engagement with institutional constructions of both how we relate to ourselves and others is like how some people are able to access the positive things, whereas most people can never have those positive accesses. And then like when the negatives or again, it's talk about powerhouses, but that's all of those are like about powerhouses. Like every single one of those things and that. At least some I affirm like what I think. So like that I can't talk about any of this without talking about anti-blackness.
Yeah.
Like, I can't like talk about or think about any of this without talking about like, you know, like white hegemony and whiteness and like fragility and like also about how like in a black body like you're not necessarily allowed to have like this like emotive reality that is yours that you present. And even if you do present what you are feeling in that moment, it is going to be read according to whatever level anti-blackness is present and those around you. So that's like an inherent level of disempowerment, but it's just like an acknowledgement. It's actually empowered to acknowledge that, because then you waste, if you don't acknowledge that, like you waste energy trying to like appease people who do not see you as human anyhow and cannot process why they see that anyhow either. Like if they can't just be accountable for that. And so like when like Manny's talking about tagging in a white person and they're not doing emotional labor for whiteness, it's like the most salient thing that I've found is purposeful is that like especially when dealing with, you know, just from both like my POC, honestly, my POC because I try to like distance myself from whiteness that isn't completely like I disembowel myself and keep my power. Like I need whiteness to just open itself and give itself up. Like no, you don't deserve any of that. You just give that up. Like that's where we're at. That's what's up. So at least that's really an irony. And so like I want to like build past like certain sets of what I think of as niceties because I don't very much all core and I don't appreciate like softness that is also not coming from core. But I also realize that for others it's the outside in with that process. So I see both this, I'm interested in like, learning about like both flows. Because it's like I don't know. I feel like all the experience I've had, I think, you know, working as an artist, like an organizing activist, has been just like so completely thoroughly interrelated. I can't personally think that.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up.
I would love to open up the floor to more conversation like this because this is, after all, like we are centering the voices of Black and POC artists in this space. But also it's true, like a lot of these like positive aspects of working in the art world or just being an artist in general, a lot of these do come from a place of privilege as well. And not everybody has access to these kinds of experiences, and I do want to honor that. And open up conversations to, like you're saying, because this does not read for everyone. Like we are all coming in from so many different levels of power. Or feelings of disempowerment, and that is really, really huge. Like for us, that was a really big barrier to break through. And I do believe that we've gotten a large amount of privilege through connections that we've made in the city, but still, it's something that we need to acknowledge. Like, not a lot of like other brown or like queer artists are getting the same kind of respect or attention that we've gotten. And that's important to talk about, you know what I mean? Because we don't represent an entire community. You know, we are one collective right now. We are two people. And so I I definitely don't want to silence any voices by just centering our own in the space. So thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, let's have like more of a conversation. Like I do appreciate like being able to like present, but also like a more natural flow would be to hear all of your voices in this space. Like it's pretty ideal, in my opinion. So, I don't know, do you have any thoughts for?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you brought it up, and I think I was just trying to, like, this is how it makes it to me. So I'm glad that you're like, oh, this is me, yeah, because obviously, like, this is like how so I appreciate that, yeah. But again, like, talking about your identities, like this like workshop is about like, it's based off your identities and how Black and Brown and Indigenous bodies are valued or not valued, right? And if we're visible even in the art world. So I do want to like set, like how, like, I want that to inform like the conversations. Yeah.
One of the things we could add on the third sheet is creating your own frameworks for processing these.
Frameworks. Creating your own frameworks.
For processing.
And that's excellent.
Like Jamal was saying, not everyone uses the same framework, and not everyone has access to the contents of that framework. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like personally, like identity is a huge part of like how like the discussion we're creating. But again, we like can't possibly tell the story of our entire communities if we didn't exist then. But it is important to acknowledge, like I said, our privilege, and also be humble about the fact that we're also still learning this like language constantly. So
yeah. For me, like one thing that's like worked in terms of like advocating for like myself or for the community that we're hoping to support, is just like seeing like sharing like where there's like opportunities for Black, Indigenous, and Brown, POCs, like sharing that constantly. And like there's like a story about like we don't want to be like crabs in a bucket, like pulling each other down into more opportunities. It's like we need to be sharing that shit. Because like if it's gonna benefit the community, it's gonna benefit you because you're part of that community. Yeah. So for me, it's like all of it is sharing these opportunities.
Something I've been thinking a lot about is like refusing to be shamed for like something that an institution or like a structure that I don't respect like sees me as lacking. So like working within talking about like these like structures, like I feel like a lot of times like an outsider working in a structure that I don't really understand, and like methods of communication and like power imbalances and relationships that I don't like think in that same way. And then finding myself in situations like professionally or even in a more informal group where like they see me as not like fitting in or understanding what they're saying or doing, but I see them as perpetuating like horrible systems of power and just like refusing to like feel bad about myself or like let that affect like the confidence I have in what I'm doing. He's going to be shamed in my relationship.
Yeah,
it's very important for me.
I mean, for us too, I think it's like trying to be as accessible and inclusive in the spaces that we're creating for community. Like one example was like, we always ask like for our things to be bilingual, if possible. And if we're gonna get help with that, like having like promotion that's bilingual and us like having to do that job for our community too. So it's just like making sure like that the work that we're doing is accessible to our communities too. Advocating for like, is there space ADA? Are there gender neutral bathrooms? Just like stuff like that, and just like have that be like routine, like have that be like in your like routine, right? Like making sure that's there and present. And like, you know, does your space have like a no policy, you know, like no does your space have like a policy for like no racism and no this and no discrimination? Like, do you have that? And are you gonna have people there that if they see that happening or someone comes up to you like, I just experienced this thing, are they gonna be able to hold that person or people accountable in your space? Right? Like in terms of like if you walk into a gallery and the curators aren't doing anything about something that just happened, like are they gonna hold that other person accountable? You know, like that needs to be there too, that needs to be present.
Powerful. Or like also like asking if it's like something that makes you feel more comfortable is asking for a closed space. Like is the location that you're like occupying willing to do that for you, you know? That's unusual.
Yeah. Will you write this down? Like asking for a closed space and accountability and just like accessibility. And I want to be mindful of time too. And we started late, so 7:19. Mm-hmm.
I think tolerance is important as well, like how much you're willing to like withstand a situation that is disagreeable to you in so many different ways. Like going into a space that is like problematic or racist or sexist and like what your tolerance is for that or how much you're willing to, well, I think it also applies to people who are white more than people that are not people of color, because sometimes I feel like white people have a choice a lot of the time and like how much they can tolerate. And I think like setting those boundaries, like yes, I will engage in this or I will take part in this, or saying like no because this disagrees with like what I believe and what's like important for society to move forward.
Yeah, that's a very real thing. Like it's true. A lot of white folks have the space and the privilege to decide when to engage and when not to engage. And that's definitely something that needs to be acknowledged. Yeah, because some of us don't have that.
I know something that if anyone knows May Cat, she's I think did they go by she? But they have been really inspiring to me because they actually are advocating for like charging people for emotional labor and the work that you're doing and just advocating for that. And I'm still learning like how to do that, like as the artist and also like at my job too, like and just in general with like any like relationships where I feel like most importantly when white folks ask me to explain further on an issue that is easily like found on the internet and or literature, like being what, like I'm not gonna do this work unless you pay me then. If you wanted to come directly from me. Right. So I think like trying to figure out ways to be compensated for that emotional labor that a lot of us with the ideas that we hold experience.
Do you have any thoughts on like how to like negotiate from the position of not being able to necessarily negotiate on that emotional labor point, if that makes sense? Because I often feel like if I full on like if I was doing that, like just needed to start doing that completely. Every time that I try to do that with all kinds of people, you know, it's never that's like it's just literally I'm not into it, or I'm into that at like great violence to my livelihood, my ability to for my child, my access to spaces. Like if I throw down like at the level that it feels like even if I say no, or if I say this is my boundary, then I have lost, and I have lost greatly, and that is just what happens.
Because I think people just aren't, I kind of doubt the possibility of accountability because that takes so much effort.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not necessarily something possible when you have the power on your side.
Right.
It's not something that just exists out there floating. So like how do you like deal with affect, with like emotional labor when it's being pulled from you and it's just that is like the space that you are, your emotive, your affectual cycle to the new economy, to use like a really academic term, but if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of just like that question reminds me like, oh, like when we had those days of like, oh, a day without an immigrant, right? And some people like had the privilege to like leave their jobs and not be fired for it. And other people are like, I can't do that because this is like my livelihood. So is that kind of like that reminds me of that? Yeah. Yeah. I still haven't figured out like a way to like approach someone that's asking that of me to be like get compensated. I think one thing that worked, and I can share this, like when we did an exhibition for a group over the summer, and for PD Ethics Pride, and like we like the way that we've like have experienced that group has always been like a group full of men, right? And they never had like any women around, and so when they invited us to do a thing for them, we were able to like, we asked them, can we sit down and talk about this first? Because we don't want to say yes right away. And then we talked in person, so like, if we're gonna work with you, we need to see these changes in like the way that you like don't make visible the work of like women and non-binary peoples in your collective, or the way that we don't want to be tokenized in this show. So we actually had to like sit down. And we asked though, like, hey, like we don't want to give you an answer because we want to have this really important conversation for like in order to even think about like collaborating with you. So I feel like that worked in the beginning. And then later on we had the show, and the day of the show there was like some problems came up, and then like I immediately like a couple days later like brought up these issues with them. And we're still trying to figure out a day to meet up and talk about those things. Because we do see, I mean, there are another Latinx group, so we do see that we can grow from these like issues that came up. But it's time. It's like time, and there's still like emotional labor there. So I don't have like an easy answer for that. Yeah. But like I'm there too. Yeah. I just know like people that have done it and it's worked well for them, and obviously it's not going to be the same for everybody else considering like their identity. Yeah.
That's a difficult one, especially when you're talking about your livelihood, because I feel that, even when I've been doing odd jobs for like over a year now, and it's like, even when I'm working for like a really good friend, I have a hard time like asking for like what I know I should have like made, as opposed to like, what I actually asked for is usually like much lower. And even like, and that's how I would survive, you know what I mean? But it's to a certain degree, it's just a matter of like self-confidence and like self-worth, which is like a constant struggle, especially for myself personally. But like for us as a collective, we had to be like, no, we do actually have something special here, and if this is something that you want, then you have to just like understand that these are our boundaries, and like these are the requirements in order for us to engage, whether it's like emotionally or otherwise. It's just a matter of like taking up that space, which is obviously easier said than done, because I mean, we for a really long time like never made any kind of money or anything like that doing our work. It was just like labor, and then it got to a point where it's like, okay, it's either like something needs to give, you know what I mean? Like we either can't continue working like this, or we have to like step up our game a little bit, like let people know that we can't work for free.
Does anybody else have any like thoughts or ideas of like how we can like navigate that?
I mean, I really agree with what they said. So as a white artist here who's interested with advocating for others than in this workshop and advocating for myself, it really is whiteness got against self. It's not you just opening your doors for space, but giving up the space that we have to people and doing the outreach. Because I think, like you were saying too, it's not as easy for you to just walk in the door and say, I'm here, I'm confident, but you're still dealing with someone who's viewing you, no matter your confidence, as less than.
Yeah.
So it's literally you. I mean, I try to reach out personally to, because I work with like Zine Collective, and I have a lot of friends, and one of the things that we work on is people who do not feel confident. A lot of my Black queer friends who do not feel confident walking into spaces, walking into publication spaces, doing the outreach and being like, here is a space for you. What can I do and everything in your way to facilitate? It's not just making space, but really giving up our space, our time, and our resources, like physical, monetary resources.
Yeah.
I think it's all well to be a friend there, but I think there's more responsibility as a white artist in advocating for people and giving up as much. I really agree with the gutting. It's absolutely gutting and like pulling everything that we have in there, because we do have the choice of tolerance every time that we wake up in the day. So we really do have a lot of space, whether emotional, physical, or financial, to navigate, even if it is a gutting at that.
Yeah, it becomes this like sort of like question of balance as well too, because like to a certain degree, like the way that I see it as well, it's like I know that I'm equally as capable of doing this as somebody else does. Though we might not have the same accessibility to whatever it is that we're working towards. And also, where do I draw the line between like, well, I want a white person to make this situation okay or like better for me, and like when do I say like, no, I'm gonna like still do this exactly how I intended to do it, like with my own voice and with like the power that I do know that I have. You know what I mean? It's just, it gets tricky for me sometimes, because I absolutely believe like, yeah, fucking white people, like give us your resources, like open the door, get out of the way. You know what I mean? We have everything that we need, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like I don't really feel like I need, like, I mean, obviously sometimes it's necessary, but I don't feel like I need like a white person to like make my work more valid or to make my work like more seen, because like it's seen in our community, and like just because a white person sees it doesn't mean that it's like finally like a real thing, you know what I mean? And I think that's like something that the like my community struggles with. It's like, oh, we're trying to like white people are here, so we're trying to get here as well. And it's like, no, we can do everything that we want to on our own, and we don't have to like reflect this community that we've been like pushing against all of our lives in order to be validated. You know what I mean? Like that exists within us already. Thoughts?
Yeah, does anyone else have like any like ideas or like ways that we can like do this better?
I think it just got like really abstracted, and now I'm just like, I don't have it, like I can't hone back on any specifics.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's gotten sort of
Yeah, we can get abstract too. We can write on the walls. I won't get it.
I guess like for me, as like a queer like indigenous like woman, like for me like how, I mean obviously like Pochas has really helped me out and get like visibility and get support. But I think before that happened, like to go along like with what you're saying, like you know like my livelihood is like sometimes I can't say no to things. Like reaching, if you have anybody or an entity that's like helped you before in the past, like having them support you in whatever ways that you need. Like reaching out to them, like you know, like I need support in this, like maybe sending this email or writing up this contract of like I'm performing at this thing. I don't know how to write a contract, so that way I get paid. That way, like they do promo for me. That way there's like accessibility. Like maybe having someone to help you with that, you know, someone that like has been there for you in the past, or someone that you can like that has said that they were going to do this work for this kind of community, and you can hold them true to that. I think is like could be like a tool that we can use.
That's something I was thinking about, like as an artist or as a poet, like as a writer, but yeah, they're like all around. Like I don't respond to open calls for submissions. I kind of have an ethic where I require like my great friends who have that hegemonic power, who are like on those small presses, who need to come to me and ask for my book. Because you know that I'm worth it. You need to come to me and ask for my book, and I shouldn't have to go through any kind of hoops.
You should not like require me to do any of the same things you would with a regular at all. If you are about this, then you are about this. You come to me. If you don't come to, or if I come to them like directly like that, and then they send me to an open call, that is whiteness. It's violence because they're saying like, oh, you need to go to the same room, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like, we do not need to go to the same room. It's like you need to open up your resources, you can get up, and I just have there's like so many people's like whole sense of self that is like rooted in being like that kind of gatekeeper, especially white artists and like creatives, crafts people, like writers, like poets, like and it's just it's hard for me to like even be nice because it's like my love that is genuine for people, like my affection that is genuine for people who are like fellow creators is like burnt to dust because of like the violence that is the scenario of whiteness. So the only recompense is that you give me space so that I am in archive, that I am, in this without trying to put me through any of these like hoops, just that you need to have as hoops because you need to justify this like institutional bureaucratic structure, even your small press, even your DIY, all of that is about whiteness, and making space is not enough, and just having that one, person of color or like one Black person who like you think has enough like institutional power and has like all these degrees or is like, what I'm saying, who is like a shiny enough token, and then you publishing them, that doesn't resolve you anything, and you almost did nothing. I mean, you made space for another person, like a Black person, I'm like, yes, that's good, but like otherwise, it's almost like the tokenizing is almost like pointless and it's always violent. And like when you guys were experiencing, that feeling in spaces when they were being tokenizing, you guys were talking down to you. Did you ever feel a sense of like futility? Like, did you ever feel like a sense of wanting to just kind of go into the spaces and then like fully disembowel them, like to just like throw like a full-on like fit because it's kind of like this is our space, like all the spaces do belong to.
Do you want to talk about that? Because I know you have a lot of thoughts. I mean, yeah. I mean, yes and no, because I feel like we did our installation where it was like for a particular community, but because it was in a very specific like site, then we had like a lot of people, just like a lot of traffic come in, say like these like things that were all microaggressions, and we had to be there like they were just passerby, so we're just like. There was like no way for me to catch up to that. I was just like this isn't for you. Like, this isn't for you. You don't get to talk about this. This is for this community. And so like that's something that particular installation we're still processing. Like how could it have been different, or how could like the people that invited us and supported us done more so that wouldn't happen, that we would have experienced that, and nonetheless the artists too that helped us make the work didn't have to experience that as well. Yeah.
I definitely like found myself in that situation. Like this was in terms of like a residency where I was like trapped there, and I was like just like felt very much like trotted out, and like wasn't doing what I was there to do for anybody that I would consider my community. And yeah, definitely like lots of late nights there, just unloading and trying to like, also we were like physically isolated. So it was like very like desperate feeling situation that there wasn't like an easy, we had to wait it out, and just like found me and my collaborators just found ourselves kind of acting like brats, just being like, okay, well, we're gonna need more money. We're gonna need more money because you're like, what have you done to us? And I'm gonna need you. Oh, we're going grocery shopping. Like you're buying me this really nice bottle of wine, and I'm gonna get the finest cheeses or whatever. Like because like we deserve it. Because look at what you're doing to us. We're going insane. And like just like really like not normally something I would do, but at the end of it, I kind of came out of it like I am always going to ask for more, and I'm going to ask it to people's faces. And now, like, if I need something, if I need, like, equipment, I'm like, I know you have this equipment. You are supposedly a supporter of marginalized communities, but you have to give it to me for free. I'm not going to rent it from you. You're going to give it to me. And it's
Yeah.
starting to work. Like,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're not going to charge me anything. And you get to go home feeling a little bit better of yourself. And I get this equipment that all these like rabid, like, you know, marginalized peoples are going to like do awesome stuff with. And it's been really hard to learn. But yeah, it's just like getting so frustrated and then making unreasonable demands, you know, unreasonable but totally reasonable, and just like finding the people that will like be your accomplices, you know, like people who have privilege, who will, for whatever reason they're doing it, will just give you what you need and like not demand anything from you. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really hard.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I feel like what you were saying was like almost like we feel like we can't ask for more when we should be asking for more. Yeah, but then sometimes it's like if you don't have like an accomplice or like a crew or something with us, I feel like we feel like even less like we can make that so we can ask them that. Yeah, I know for me, and it's like recently I was asked to perform, and the person that invited me was like, "Oh, I'll give you like a free pass for this whole thing to go to all the other events," and I said, "Oh, I already got it. It's okay. I already have mine, whatever." But like, no, like you can give it to your homie. And like, I didn't even like, for me, I didn't even think I could ask for more, not just for myself, but for other people. So that was for me like, oh, like, yeah, like, yes, give me as much as you can then. Like, I can just share it with other people. And then what I did too is just like, I put it on my social media. This is like, I have a free pass for this thing, you know, Black and Indigenous POCs first. Like, who wants this? And the person that like reached out to me was like, "Thank you for making this only for this community. Like, I appreciate that." Yeah. So I feel like there's like little, like, I think it's like difficult sometimes, but I feel like there's like little things that we can do that I feel like a lot of it speaking for myself is like trying to be brave and asking for that. And just like risk, I mean, if I can risk it, then risk it for myself. Yeah, and just like sharing too is like what I've seen that's worked.
Kind of like some of those things talked about, just like my own experience. Like I'm like a press operator and printer, so like press person, but also artist. And I've like found myself like, you know, turning like a little candle at both ends, like trying to like get a job done for very like little money. And done that for years, and something that has been kind of like what you're talking about, just being like brave and asking what you need, especially at the outset, so you don't find yourself in like, the middle of the night, like in a shitstorm, like emotional, like whatever. It's just like straight up, like if it's, especially if it's like our kind of like compensation, and we're talking about compensation and recompense, like just like straight up asking what people's budgets are has been like a really simple and like effective tool. Because like as a printer too, like a lot of what I do is just like custom. So like if somebody's like, "Oh, I need this like really, really impossible thing and I really need it like in 2 days," and I'm like not gonna pay you anything. And I'm like, "Hey, well this is like what your budget can like buy, and this is like what my like time is worth, and if these are the materials that you want to use, like I don't have any control of that." So like working within like the realms of like possibility, but also like what I'm telling them. It's like kind of like I think we have to be, we're talking about like our own advocates, but like we're also like consulting, which is also like, you know, labor that can be bought and paid for as an exchange. So like I kind of I don't know, it's worked, but like, you know, just kind of like having this like this is my practice and this is what I do, and if you want to work with me, then I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna happen.
yeah, no, that's good. And that's kind of like, so the project that I have like for us to do, it might seem a little bit like I do it with my students and middle schoolers, but I think it's really empowering. Like I've had other adults in my classes do it with me, but it's literally like we list like, you know, we have 4 relationships that we can list on it. It's like it's we can pick any ones that we have up here, and like there's like a 4 quadrants, and each one stands for one relationship. And the prompt is just like, I will not allow whatever insert relationship to, and then all the things that you will not allow them to do to you and your community. And then right below that you'll say, and I will allow this relationship to do these things. So I feel like it'll help us brainstorm like maybe certain things that we can do, and like our boundaries are like, I'm not gonna work for this much money, I'm not gonna do these hours, or I'm not gonna work under these conditions, but I'm gonna advocate for these things for these people. So that's kind of like what I wanted to transition to, so we can like visually like write it down and visually see it. And I feel like that could be a tool for us to just like look at, maybe to feel like, okay, like these are the things that I work on this day, and like I can ask for these things, like I deserve these things, and I don't want, like, you know, for me it's just like it's a project that feels empowering, and for me like some things aren't like truth until like I write them down or draw them out. So I feel like it's helpful for me to have something physical to look at. So that's kind of what I wanted to transition to. But if anyone has like any like kind of like lingering thoughts about like this part of the workshop, like please feel free to share them. And then we can move on over here. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I just think about like the risk of being replaced, and like when you ask for more, how easy it is for other people to just say no, and like what that means. Like I'm just thinking about, I had never had to like write a grant before or anything, and I had to write like, I had like 2 days to like write like this whole grant to plan out everything that like my United Print Alliance was gonna do for the next 14 months. And I was like, they could so easily just say like, nope, and then like our whole like year is trash. And like, so why don't I just like write, like go for the easy grant that's just multiple choice questions and get like $500 for the next year? Or do I write this grant for like $10,000? And like, what do I, like, why do I have to like choose? Because I'm worried about like the risk of them just being able to like say no because they like don't appreciate like what I'm trying to do, or they don't appreciate like the arts in general, like just that overall risk.
Yeah. I think that because I've been there, where I feel like today she's one that's like I've had more of a chance of getting, or one that's like will benefit me the most with this like slim. And yeah, that's just, I mean, it's just difficult. Like talking about Pochas, like again, like use as an example, like I was applying for grants as an individual person. I never got any of them, and it wasn't until like I did it with a group in the community that like we actually got one. You know, and then just I felt like I just had a team with me too. You know, and I know that was helpful for us, and also gave us tools like for like future things that we want to apply to. And we even had people that were like non-Latinx that were white, like we're like, hey, can you revise this for us? You know, like, as a volunteer, can you like, you know, like because there's language, right? In writing grants, like a certain kind of language. And I know for me at that time, I didn't have all that language. So I like reached out to people that did and who were white, like, can you look at this and make it sound like you know, like it's gonna relate to them in their language. And like that, I mean, that helped us out. So I mean, for us, it's like being my notes is like being resourceful with like who has these kind of tools for these kind of people, you know, for these kind of entities or institutions that I know it's gonna make sense, you know, but that I don't have because like that's not the world that I don't navigate the world in that way. Anything else? I don't know how to see this without being silly, but does everyone want to go just paint? Paint and like write things down?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Thank you for coming. Yeah, no, thank you so much for coming up.
I think it's pretty sweet. Yeah. Right. I'm at a point where right, exactly. That's why I really got nothing. Yeah. She but she's not. Yes, you remember. Blissfully unaware. Oh, she's been reading commercial now for 5 years. Yes, I got it. She just assumes, yeah. So you put a music show, right? Exactly I think she was what the project. Even though
So like, depends on how much you I wish, I would do. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. If I did have it.
And then,
I know. It's good.
and the fact, what we did is that we
I can buy it.
Okay.
Oh, you got it on here. You like the face? I know. It's like,
and then we take it off, say,
It's not hard back here, it's like hard. So like this area. That's okay. The big ones.
You want to use the skin and it comes like you're gonna
Or you make
and you're gonna
yeah, one home we had. Obviously, first I was like, $3.99, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's worth it. It'd be worth it to me to see. Yeah. Yeah. If I could do it, I could.
so do you feel more comfortable
Yeah.
holding it up for us, or do you want to do strong line? Oh, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now that you got that, so what kind of relationships do you want to write about? Like community teaching? Okay. Yeah. So you said family, right? You said friends. wanna, because sometimes we forget that we can also be in a relationship with ourselves. Do you wanna write about like your relationship to yourself? Okay. So I'll write self. So then you can do it in whatever order you want. In the first part, we're gonna write, I will not allow, and then you write in that relationship, so one of these. And then you write two, and then dot, 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 and you just fill the rest. So like, I will not allow my friends to like bully you, or like, you know, all the things that you don't want yourself to do. So you can write all that down.
Oh, yeah.
Like here, for example, and then you leave some space, and then you can write the other part to it, which is, I will allow, in the relationship, to, and then dot, 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 and then just fill it in. So, but I will let my friends like buy me treats, or like invite me to like to go like hang out with them, and all the things that you do allow your friends to do. Yeah, so well, that's pretty easy. So it'll just be the same things for each one, but each section is a different relationship. Yeah. Do you want me to use this pen? Or one other? I don't know how I feel about that. What? Before I felt like get a sense of like how to bring it together. Okay, kind of smart thought. Second half. And I also didn't want to let any people down. I wasn't like being really real about like why some people don't get, you know, aren't visible or aren't respected or valued, or how would you maybe because I wasn't very clear about like in the beginning. And then I'm just like,
Oh, you're talking about what,
yeah,
what
yeah.
they brought up?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I don't, you know, that, like, you were very clear in the beginning that you're also still learning. And you're not, I don't think that you should hurt yourself on not having the answers to every single scenario, or like having to focus. I think you covered a lot.
It's just kind of hard work with like voice that I taught. Like not just this one, just voice that I like my very constantly. So it's like, yeah, maybe it's just like, look at it, yeah, maybe. I'm just really curious how it's You want skateboard?
Yeah.
Veronica. Good job.
Yeah.
You're your best life.
I don't like, when I immediately started like judging myself. Or not judging, but critiquing myself.
It's hard to lead intense discussions.
Yeah. Very necessary, but yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my hope is that I hope people left with like a sense of like, not more like, but like not more like, with a little more clarity, maybe, you know, and, like, I know for me, this was helpful.
Yeah. But it is helpful too. And just like
Yeah.
Dude, it looks like
Yeah. So my friends and new friends are making her work. So.
Some of this also better.
I know, like,
What we're gonna do, there's a novel called which means shield. Yeah, and so what we're gonna make our shields, the shields are a symbol of protection, all the times they're, closely touched to like our ancestry, right? Like if you like, oh, like my family, like village of the wolves, so there'll be a wolf there. So, what we're gonna do is we're gonna base this as a way like, see where we have like, fill in the